Alright you guys, 602 Booster back at it again with another video. And today we're going to pick up where we left off with our learning how to ride. We're going to focus this time on getting the bike started, getting into first gear. We're in the perfect place to do it. We're in the mountains, in the middle of nowhere. Parking lot is totally free. Let's get started. So, more than likely, in order for you guys to get here, you guys are going to have to probably get somebody's bike, borrow it, have them drop it off. But this is just to help you understand how to get started. You can do this right in front of your house or wherever that's safe. But first thing we got to do is get the bike turned on. Just a couple little tidbits about my bike. My bike fortunately has a gear indicator so you can see what gear that I'm currently in. I have an ignition and I have what's called a kill switch. Right now my kill switch is in the off position, meaning that there's no fuel being sent to the bike. The bike's not primed, it's not ready to go yet. So I can squeeze the clutch in, I can squeeze the brake, but nothing's gonna happen. I can try to twist the throttle, nothing's gonna happen. Now, you gotta turn the kill switch on, obviously. Most of you guys may already know this stuff. Now it shows here that I'm in gear 0 and you see a green end light right there. That means I'm in neutral. So that means I can roll the bike back and forth just using my feet. The bike's not in gear right now. My kickstand is up, so I'm pretty much ready to start the bike. Just before I do that though, I'm going to put the bike in first gear to kind of let you know what kind of happens. I'm going to squeeze in the clutch. I'm going to push down on my clutch lever or my shifter. There it is. So now I'm in first gear, and if I try to use my feet to move the bike back and forth, it only goes so far before it stops. So that lets you know what happens when the bike is in gear. Anytime the bike is in first, second, third, fourth, whatever, your bike won't move if it's sitting still unless if you squeeze the clutch, just you pull that clutch in. So we're going to pull in the clutch, and as I'm pulling it in, you can see I can move the bike. As long as I have the clutch lever pulled in, I can move the bike. So it's kind of like you're putting your bike into a neutral state. Simple as that. So let's go ahead and start the bike. I'm going to start it in neutral. I got a habit of doing that. And to get from first to neutral, what I just did was I went up half a step, you should say, or half a click up on your shifter. So I'm in neutral. I'm going to squeeze the clutch in and start my bike. That's how my bike works. Yours might be different. And we're going to start it. Now the bike is on. Now again, we're in neutral. The bike is still going to roll freely if I move it with my feet. Nothing to be afraid of here. If I twist the throttle, the bike's not going to go anywhere because again, the bike's not in gear. It's not engaged. It's not ready to go yet. So that's a good thing. Now where people tend to freak out is when they put the bike in first gear. Here are the things you need to know. I'm going to squeeze in the clutch. The bike is in first gear. I push down on my shift lever. First gear. Now, what'll happen is that most people will tend to come to the throttle right here. They tend to grab it and start cranking it up. They want to do that. And they want to do that as they pull out on the clutch. But that's what gets you in trouble. So here's what you want to start doing as a new rider, starting off, trying to get used to how the clutch and the throttle work together. The goal is to slowly release this clutch without giving this any gas. So let me show you what happens if your bike is tuned properly. If it's properly set up and maintained, it'll do it. But if your bike isn't properly set up, you're going to have to probably give it more gas for your bike to start going forward without stalling out. So I'm going to grab just this little bar end right here just to demonstrate what I'm talking about so you can tell I'm not going to use any throttle. I'm going to grab this and I'm going to slowly release the clutch out. And I'm going to let go of it all the way, and I'm going to start rolling forward. Now, your goal is not to look down at your controls as you do this. Your goal is to look in front of you so you see what's coming. That's the goal. Another thing to remember is how to stop. We're going to talk about how to stop before we even go. What we're going to do is when you let fully out on the clutch, squeeze the clutch back in to stop the engine from engaging. Now, you're going to roll a little bit, but to stop yourself, don't try to use your feet. try to squeeze this front brake right here. Squeeze it. Don't grab it fast, but squeeze it gently. Because remember, we got 80% of our braking power there. If you get into a panic and you just grab this, you just grab it, the bike's gonna dip down like that and scare you, thinking it's gonna buck you off. So don't do that. So we're gonna try it right now. I'm gonna slowly release the clutch all the way out, and then I'm gonna stop before I get to the end of this lock. So I'm gonna do no throttle, just power from the bike only. I'm gonna release it real slow, looking up in front of me. Completely let it go. See that? Completely free. No throttle or anything like that. That's pretty much in there. How do I stop? You want to squeeze in the clutch. Now the bike's still rolling, but it's not engine powered, and you're gonna squeeze this brake and then put your feet down. Simple as that. Let me turn around and do it again. So we're gonna do the same thing again, going this way. So again, this is something you want to practice. You want to practice knowing when to release the clutch. Again, don't look down at it to try to measure how far you have to go out. Learn it by feel. That's really how the clutch is going to work. It's just like the clutch in a car. The clutch in a car, you can kind of feel when the engine is starting to engage, and you don't have to hold on to the clutch anymore. You can just let go of it. The point is that with the fingers, it's much more, your fingers are much more sensitive than your big clunky foot. So this should come easier to you. And to be honest, I learned how to drive a stick shift car. I started on bikes. I knew the principle before I even had a stick shift car. So anyway, let's try it again. Same thing, no throttle, just clutch only. Slowly let out the clutch, look in front of you. And if you want, you can keep your legs down to the side until you get used to it. Keep your legs down. You don't have to put your foot on the pegs to get started. Now we're gonna brake, so we're gonna squeeze in the clutch, squeeze the brake. Boom, and our feet are already down, they're planted, they can stop us. That's perfect. This is what you want to practice before you even start using the throttle, because if you can't use the clutch to get the power going to the bike, ain't no point in trying to use this. Let's go ahead and try it again one more time. Same thing again. If you're in neutral, squeeze in that clutch lever, put the bike into first gear. Again, no throttle. And remember, you look where you're going. I'm going to show you that I'm not using the throttle again. That's it. And we're going to come to a stop again. Here's what we're going to do. Grab that clutch, squeeze the brake, and then put your foot down. I'm going to put it back in neutral again. So that's really the concept of any manual transmission vehicle, whether it be a motorcycle, whether it be a car. The same principle applies. You're just using different controls. For me, again, a motorcycle is easier because my fingers had more sensitivity with the clutch lever. So again, that's really where it comes from. So let's take it a little step further and let's get out of first gear and let's go ahead and get into second gear.